Hello, everyone. I'm just getting things set up right now, and then we will start talking about. I'm just streaming the news right now, and I'm going to try and get some more people in here, so give me 1 second. How's everyone doing today? I am getting everything pulled up, set up. You guys can see everything okay? Let me know if you can see everything okay. Just waiting until Trump goes on to unmute the microphone. But I wanted to go live because I wanted to see side by side kind of what he's talking about and just have an open and honest conversation. So I will start streaming. I'm just streaming the news right now. This is just what I have on. We're kind of just letting it ride out until we can get Trump up and on and while they're talking about it. So welcome in. I should have grabbed some water. You know what? I'm going to go grab some water. Let me unmute this.
Outside of Mexico City, splintered houses and splintered lives, and the magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live, reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky, Minneapolis, Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
When I was little watching American Idol, I was sure that I was going to find a way onto that stage. This audition is the first page of my story.
I believe in myself.
I could do this.
I belong here.
Holy crap, I'm auditioning for American Idol.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's what it's all about. That was impressive.
Okay, we want to know, who are the people in your state that make such a big difference?
Come on now. We all know someone who does so much.
And we want to celebrate them with you. So scan this QR code or go to goodmorningamerica.com. Tell us about them.
We're coming to all 50 states in 50 weeks to celebrate the best of what makes America beautiful.
Friday nights at 9 on ABC. Mean true crime.
True murder mystery.
Shocking.
Sex, betrayal, lies.
A bombshell.
The greatest true crime stories.
2020. Friday nights at 9.
I wish we could stay here forever. In this moment.
Something happens and I never find it till I'm out of
Hi, I'm Diane Macedo. Welcome to ABC News Live. First, President Trump is expected to address the major U.S. and Israeli operations against Iran at any minute. The war is growing today with more attacks on Iran from the U.S. and Israel. U.S. military officials also say Iran has killed 4 U.S. service members and seriously wounded 4 others in retaliatory strikes on an American base in Kuwait. Now, Iranian officials say they're prepared for a long war with the U.S. and Israel. Let's bring in Chief White House Correspondent Mary Bruce, Senior National Policy Reporter Ann Flaherty, and Matt Rivers in Amman, Jordan for more. Mary, the president is facing a lot of questions about why he decided to strike Iran now and about his vision for Iran's future? What are you watching for as he prepares to speak now?
Well, I think we're really looking for any clarity, Diane. I mean, we are now 3 days into this operation, and the president has yet to fully make the case to the American people for this war. There are huge unanswered questions still.
I'm not
why now? I mean, the president has yet to detail and offer evidence of the imminent threat that he is claiming Iran was posing to the U.S. Now, we did hear a short while ago from top Pentagon officials the first time they have faced reporters and answered questions about these strikes, and they are arguing, the defense secretary, that the U.S. didn't start this war. Pete Hegseth pointing to a litany of Iranian aggression in the past.
But hello, everyone. I'm Coach NiaRenee.
Now, if, as the defense secretary said, there's been 47 years of Iranian belligerence, and of course the president is facing a lot of criticism because he long vowed to get the U.S. out of the business of regime change. He has promised his supporters and Americans for some time now that he was not going to drag America into more foreign conflicts. Yet that is exactly what is happening now. So we are going to be looking for any sort of broader explanation as to why he launched this operation now, and also, what comes next? Who does he think should lead Iran? How long are these strikes going to go on? And sort of his bigger vision for where things go from here, Diane.
And Secretary Hegseth says this is not a regime change war. What more is the administration saying about the specific objectives here?
Yeah, Diane, in this press conference that became a bit combative, he really bristled at those questions about regime change, of course, because he's very familiar with the Iraq War and the criticism that the Bush administration took on that it was a never-ending war. He said at the same time he would not get into timelines. He said, 4 or 5 weeks. That was actually a timeline that President Trump had given reporters over the weekend. He said, I'm not going to talk about that. He said, this is about trying to get Iran on board where they are no longer a threat to U.S. allies in the region, and they're no longer a threat to the United States. But as Mary laid out, there is a question about how imminent that threat was. We know from Defense Intelligence Agency reports that it's estimated that it was 9 years before Iran was estimated to build a missile capable of reaching the United States. So a lot of questions right now from critics of the administration about why this war was necessary now and how long it's going to last. We did hear from General Kane just now in that briefing. He said they do expect that there could be more U.S. casualties. A reminder that 4 U.S. service members have been killed already in this operation. They were struck what appears to be Iranian fire in Kuwait.
So if you guys see me
Kane says this is an ongoing operation. We do expect that more U.S. casualties could occur.
And Matt, what's it like in Jordan right now?
Hopefully we can have some thoughtful
conversations. Much what it's like across
Hopefully
this entire area, Diane, in the sense that there are Iranian missiles flying all over the place. We've seen just from this rooftop that we're on here in the middle of Amman, we've seen multiple interceptors going, arching up into the night sky here, taking out Iranian missiles, presumably on their way in that westerly direction behind me toward Israel. We've been seeing that consistently since this operation began, and we do expect that to continue. We've seen Jordanian fighter jets circling the skies here of Amman all day long. And we know that that's not just happening here in Jordan. It's happening in Bahrain. It's happening in Kuwait. It's happening in the United Arab Emirates. It's happening all over this area as Iranian missiles continue to target these different countries, as the Israelis and the Americans continue to target Iran.
And dozens of people are dead in Lebanon after Israeli strikes in Beirut. How far is this conflict spreading?
Well, that is certainly the concern, and we have been told by sources that the president was warned about this type of scenario, this type of escalation that we are seeing occur. Israel says that they are going after what they see as legitimate targets. They are very concerned right now about Iranian proxies launching attacks against U.S. forces in the region. A reminder that 35,000 troops are present in the region at this time.
Shout out to
they
my
are
husband
spread
for
across many of the U.S. allies in the area, and there is concern that Iran could target them. We could see more deaths, as we talked about, in addition to the ones that took place in Kuwait.
So, Matt, what are you watching for next as Iran ramps up these retaliatory attacks?
So when you guys see me on Threads and you're like, where are you getting your information from?
I think we have to look at 2 different things. One, we're going to continue to see Iran continue to fire missiles. As Anne's laying out there's plenty of targets to choose from across this area, and we do expect that Iran will continue to do that. In their own words, they say that they expect this to be a long war against the United States in Israel. So it does appear, at least for now, that they are doubling down. The other thing I think we're keeping our eye on is the leadership situation inside of Iran. Leadership was decimated in this stunning operation in the overnight hours of Saturday into Sunday. And so who is running the country right now? We know it's a transition council, but who will be elected the next supreme leader of Iran? That's something that falls to the National Assembly there by Iranian law. It's supposed to happen as soon as possible. So all eyes will be watching as who would take over that country as they're kind of reeling at the moment.
My voice is quieter
Mary
than
Bruce and
is
Flaherty,
it like
Matt
that
Rivers,
much
thank
quieter
you.
though? Like, can you
Let's bring in
hear me,
ABC News
though?
contributor, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy, for more. Hi, Mick. So sources say Trump administration officials told congressional staff Iran was not preparing to launch a preemptive strike. But over the weekend, administration officials said there were indicators Iranian could launch a preemptive attack, and the president told ABC News Saturday he thought there was a threat. So how significant is that apparent contradiction?
So, Diane, ultimately, the president can act if there's an imminent threat to the United States, and that gives the president that authority even under the War Powers Act. But if there's not an imminent threat, he or she is supposed to seek approval from Congress. That's the Article 1 constitutional authority of Congress to declare war. So I think that's why they were using that terminology. However, as you just referenced, they contradicted themselves by telling Congress that there potentially was no
I can also just
threat.
mute the news.
The Iranians, of course, have had their missiles pointed at bases in the Middle East where U.S. forces are present since we got there. So there was no imminency
but it's still like
to
a good
it
balance,
necessarily. And I'm just using their own statements to Congress. And I think that's probably going to come up again when they debate and then potentially pass a resolution.
I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. My husband literally just taught me this on
morning,
Saturday.
The chief of the International Atomic Energy Agency said the agency stands by its assessment that Iran's nuclear facilities don't appear to have been severely damaged, but didn't rule out the possibility of radiological release and forced evacuations. How concerning is that?
Stuff going on. I was like, I need to be able to have this where they can see me, but they can also see the news and what's going on, and I want to do this all at the same time. So he literally just taught me
is in support of the protesters, of course,
so
that are
I'm
trying
glad
to
that I was
overthrow
able to get this figured
this
out.
regime.
So it looks like
But
Trump is about to be walking in.
It had to have been significantly degraded. It wasn't obliterated. But certainly with the level of size and capacity of these massive ordnance.
Yeah, I didn't know how. I was like, I know it involved some other machine or whatever.
I just don't know. Obviously, the president
not
does.
Machine,
the
but some other
focused like a laser on that that very answer.
French President Macron just announced France will increase its number of nuclear warheads. How significant is the timing of that?
And then I was like, "Ooh, I haven't used this in a while," so I turned on my light so y'all could see my name.
Traditional U.S.-European alliance.
I know but I'll try to make it fun.
Strategy, national defense strategy.
I'll try to make it
fun. The U.S. is pulling away from that as being the bedrock of our security framework that it has been since the end of World War II.
Ooh,
I think because of that, a lot of the European allies are starting to look at their own capacity, increasing their own nuclear weapons. Some countries that don't have it potentially getting it. There's a lot of talk about that with the Scandinavian countries. We could see a nuclear arms race because of that. And there's also the New START treaty, which the United States and Russia did not extend. That could also add to this idea that nuclear weapons could become more prevalent, and the list of countries that have them could grow substantially.
Mick, what's the chance of a
Part of me's like, should I have headphones on right now? I do have my headphones, but.
So, of course, they have to get to a point where they have somebody to talk to that's willing to negotiate. Right now, especially from the statements of Laranjani, who was designated as the Supreme Leader's essential representative on the National Security Council, has said nothing that would indicate that they're willing to negotiate. So this could go on for weeks. Hopefully we get to a point where whichever regime element is still in existence understands that it's in their own interest to go back to the negotiation table in terms that are more favorable and acceptable to the United States, which means clearly accepting the U.S. red lines, zero enrichment, for example, and so we can find a diplomatic path.
How long do you guys think this is going to go on for?
It looks like it's just going to continue and potentially increase as a regional conflict. And that could cause significant issues, not just for the region, but the globe. As so much of the energy supply, for example, is contingent on the free flow of energy out of this region.
Because I feel like he's going to get up here and he's
President
just
Trump now says
on,
the quote
or
big wave
he's either going to ramble
is yet
on
to come here. What do you think that
for
means,
like
and what are you watching for
45
next?
minutes straight, or
so he may
is
be
going
indicating
to,
a lot of the stealth bombers activities. So the way these usually happen, we launch these TLAMs, the Tomahawk missiles, because they are, of course, not manned. That takes out a lot of the air and missile defense. That's usually followed very quickly by manned fighter aircraft, which we saw did a lot of the decapitation strikes. Now we have essentially gained air dominance, which means the air and missile defense systems are destroyed.
He seems very unhinged
of the
these
Iranian
days.
Air Force is
he seems
no
very,
more. So
very
we can
unhinged
bring in
these
these big,
days.
heavy, large stealth bombers.
Honestly,
that could cause
I don't
major
know
damage to these
I don't know
nuclear
what to
programs.
expect.
So the IAEA says that they haven't been damaged that much. Well, they may be in the next few days damaged even further. But it really requires the air corridor to be open and safe for them to do this, and that might be what the president's referring to.
All right, Mick Mulroy, thank you. And oil prices are rising in early trading after the attack on Iran. Prices are up nearly $5 a barrel, and you can see how the market's reacting. Right now, we're seeing the Dow down about 85 points. Keep in mind, a $1 move in oil typically changes gas prices by about 2 to 3 cents. Rystad says traffic in the Strait of Hormuz is at a virtual standstill.
Shout out to the
and the U.S. Energy
right
Information Administration says about 20% of the world's oil passes through the strait, including most of China's supplies.
Okay,
now
so
Rystad Energy's chief economist is calling this unprecedented and warning a prolonged blockade would be a major problem.
I just don't know. I don't know what to expect.
And higher gas prices are also expected to follow
I don't know
oil
what to
price
expect.
jump.
Part of me
the head
feels
of petroleum
like
analysis
he's
at
gonna
Gas
go
Buddy, Patrick
and
DeHaan,
just
here
like
for
try
more
and
on
get
that
through
part of
this
the story.
as
Hi,
quickly as
Patrick.
possible, so he doesn't
You
have
say
to
most
answer
states
for
will likely see
anything.
gas prices start
And
to
then
rise
the
at some
other
point
part of it
today or
is,
tomorrow.
I
How
think
much are we
he's
talking?
going to
Well, it depends on the state. Some states have a mechanism called price cycling that they shoot up more significantly, sometimes 30 to 80 cents in these states in the Great Lakes, Florida, Texas, Colorado. Those states where cycling may be triggered. In fact, the Great Lakes, those 3 states, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, I just looked, they are starting to go up about 40 cents a gallon. The non-price cycling markets, the states I haven't mentioned, most of the country is probably going to move a little bit slower. Prices could increase a few cents every day or two. The increases in those non-cycling states
where are you? What are you doing? Why are we
10
not
to 30 cents over the next 1 to 2 weeks?
Like
Of course,
what
that's
is happening?
based on the here
Where
and now.
are
If
you
there
at?
are developments, prices could shoot above or potentially
Congress
below that.
is
It's
non-existent.
going to send the national
They're
average
always
above
on
$3
social
a gallon.
media,
I anticipate
typing
that
out
that's going to
these
happen in the
long-ass,
next 24 to 48 hours.
unnecessary,
For comparison, right now, the national average
very
is $2.95
long,
a gallon. So
strongly
this event
worded
is likely to
letters.
push gas prices across more of America
Every
back above that $3
single
mark. And keep in mind, it's not just
something
Iran
happens.
that is weighing in on gas prices. We also have a second dose with seasonality, the transition to summer gasoline, refinery maintenance, and demand that's going up. All of this to be impactful, but not record-setting. For diesel, though, the fuel that powers the economy, a little bit more worrisome. Diesel futures up about 40 cents a gallon. That's going to translate into average diesel prices that could rise 25 to 50 cents over the next 1 to 2 weeks.
They're literally Congress.
So, Patrick, how important is the Strait of Hormuz to global energy? And what's your reaction when you hear there's a standstill there?
And keep talking about
that's
someone
extremely
needs to take a stand. Someone needs to do something.
To remember that
there
the
needs
Strait
to
of
be
Hormuz
this.
is not an
Donald Trump
oil-producing
keeps
Middle
doing
Eastern
that.
nation,
Like,
but
dude,
it is
you're
vital
literally
to
Congress.
the flow of getting oil to where
You're
it needs to go. The oil is still being produced in the Middle Eastern countries, but that's an extreme concern right now because 20% of the world's oil from the Middle East, or I should say more broadly, 20% of the total oil supply flows through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is going to be a big problem in the next few days. I would look for the U.S. and partners in the Middle East to try and build more stability and de-risk the situation. Iran has shown it's willing to go after. Random attacks are happening on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, and that is hugely problematic. That's a big part of the reason why oil prices have jumped today nearly 8%. Is because of the risk assessment.
And it's not like gas
prices
weren't already high.
Patrick, you say this isn't just about Iran. Who else do you think
of course
is
we're never
going to see
start
the biggest
on time
impact here?
Either.
Well, certainly,
Of course, we're not going to start
this
on
is
time.
something to be felt globally.
Like
It's not just the
we
U.S.
don't
that
have
consumes
any
oil,
sense
but
of
it's everyone. It's
urgency.
every nation.
There's no the
OPEC-producing
reason why I
nations are going
can't
to
take
feel
a
the
lot of
pinch
this
because they're not able to
seriously
sell
is
their oil through the
because
Strait of Hormuz
why
right
are we
now,
making
and it's
these
grinding their operations
why
to
are
a
we making
slowdown.
these
Saudi
decisions?
Arabia was
Why are we
targeted
doing
by a
these
drone
strategic
attack at a
things
major
from
oil
fucking
refinery. So
Mar-a-Lago?
Iran essentially just throwing many things in the air at once
Why are
in
we
terms of
doing this
attacks.
from Mar-a-Lago?
Destabilizing the Middle East is adding that risk premium that may stay on the price of oil for the next several weeks or months if it's not dealt with. And that
That's
is
what I
going to
don't
be something that
understand.
costs Americans tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions dollars more in terms of
The
a
world's
bigger
literally falling
gasoline bill.
apart.
And not just
And
gasoline,
Trump's
as I
just
mentioned,
like, oh
diesel
yeah, I'm
prices
just gonna fly
and
back to
jet
my
fuel
golf course
also to
real
be
quick, get a
impacted.
couple
It's
rounds
going to be a
in.
significant cost that adds up over time.
All right, Gas Buddy Head of
And then put
Petroleum
together my
Analysis, Patrick
makeshift
DeHaan, thank
situation
you.
room, which is, by the way,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Coming up, we will have much more on the attacks on Iran, including the
out of
president's
regulation.
first comments from the White House on the attack. We're going to hear from him any minute now, and we bring that to you live when it happens. Stay.
And it's just ridiculous. I think I've like, okay, so those of you guys that are new to me, those of you guys that are new to my background, that I don't talk about my background very much when it comes to who I used to work for, but I used to be a government contractor. And I used to regulate the government rules between the government and the contractor. So when I see that makeshift skiff in Mar-a-Lago, it pisses me off because none of that is up to security regulation. None of that is complying with the law. None of that probably got approval from the right places that they needed to get the approvals from to make that makeshift room. Yes. He hasn't even gone to Camp David. Like, what are we doing? Like, how can we take any of this seriously when the president of the United States is making calls from his golf course with the ball cap on, acting like he's announcing something so amazing and grand? People are dying unnecessarily, and they've already admitted that Iran wasn't going to make any preemptive strikes. So why did we strike first? That's what makes me frustrated about this whole entire situation, is because but the more proof that comes out, the more that they admit, the more nothing is happening. We can't even trust our own government right now. We can't even trust our own government right now.
Any moment, and we will bring that to you live when it happens. Meanwhile, the IDF says it's striking Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Earlier, we saw some major explosions in Beirut for the first time since a fragile ceasefire took effect more than a year ago. Let's bring in senior fellow at the Atlantic Council and director of Realign for Palestine, Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib, for more. Ahmed, thanks for coming on. So what do these renewed strikes on Beirut mean for Hezbollah and the prospects of a wider war in the region?
Because there's no point for us to be at war right now.
I think it's a signal that the
there's
Israeli military
no
will not tolerate Hezbollah joining the Islamic Republic of Iran in an effort to divert
anybody that's watching that
from
wants to know how to support me.
Gulf.
Thanks for asking.
I think Hezbollah right now is in a fragile position whereby the Lebanese
on
state
again as well
cannot
afford
another
me. I just
war.
put
The
my
people of Lebanon, particularly in southern Lebanon, I saw videos yesterday whereby people were against these rocket launches that we saw yesterday. On the other hand, Hezbollah right now is facing a do or die moment. This is the reason why they exist. They exist as first and foremost an Iranian
fortunate
and if they're not going to serve the interests of the Islamic Republic as it also faces an existential crisis,
so I just want to bring you guys my real and raw and honest opinions
serve
on
any
certain
real
things
purpose.
that are happening.
The same is true with other proxies in the region who are facing.
Speak from a survivor's lens about what's going on. I think it's just disgusting that we have, the president of the United States is a pedophile, a rapist, a racist, a bigot, a liar, a narcissist. He's toxic. He's abusive. And we're all having to deal with the consequences of that right now. And many of us spent most of our lives trying to work through the trauma that our parents subjected us to. And a lot of us have healed from that. And now a lot of us are having to face the fact that we're in an abusive relationship with our government. And I think that it's unfair and it's frustrating and it's annoying. And as a narcissistic abuse recovery coach, you bet your ass I'm going to talk about it. So that's why we're here. That's what brought us here, to me live streaming on Substack, talking about Donald Trump and the decisions that he's making across the world that's affecting us. And it's also okay to have the conversations around, yes, understanding and acknowledging that the Iranian government has been raining hell on its citizens, but also being annoyed and frustrated and stressed out that our president decided to go around Congress yet again without approval from Congress to start yet another situation. And now we're in a full-blown war because of it. At what point is Donald Trump going to start getting held accountable? At what point is he going to be held accountable? He just does whatever he wants, and it's so infuriating because no one is trying to stop him. You look at people like Mike Johnson, and you gotta wonder, what is in it for you? Stopping Congress, like not even calling Congress in over the weekend to deal with this because you don't think it's a big situation because it's lining your pockets. Like the people that we have in our government are some of the most spineless, unempathetic, unfeeling, uncaring people. And honestly, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Because what is the goal? Because it feels like we have a narcissist that's in control, that is only using this as branding opportunity to get his name branded across the world. He doesn't care about the state of the world. He doesn't care about American citizens. He doesn't care about any of that. He's using this as a branding opportunity. He's using this as a way to continue his name, his legacy. And the people that aren't paying attention are, at this point, people are paying attention. At this point, everyone's paying attention. People are just being willfully ignorant. They're being incompetent on purpose. It's weaponized ignorance is what it is. That's what it is. It's weaponized ignorance because people know very well what's happening right now. It'd be impossible not to pay attention. The people that aren't paying attention are the people that directly are directly benefited from everything that's happening. The people that aren't paying attention have the privilege to not have to care about politics because they're a part of the top percent that doesn't have to worry about what happens because their money is going to be protected and taken care of. So they don't care. And then you have the lower class that's paying attention but still doesn't have enough discernment to stop having hope that this is going to get better. They were played, and some of them are starting to pay attention. Then you have the middle class and those with general common sense sitting here screaming, we've been telling y'all motherfuckers this whole entire time. Why haven't y'all been listening to us? And that constant fight, that constant battle, that constant exhausting fight is what the government wants out of us. They want us to be exhausted. They want us to be unable to put up a fight. Hold on, I want to see what they're saying about this.
That prohibits anyone who unlawfully uses or is addicted to controlled substances from owning a weapon. The plaintiff admits using marijuana and is arguing he should have the right to keep a gun at home for self-defense.
Oh, I like that.
A decision is expected later this spring. And a federal trial that could change the way concert tickets are sold is set to begin today. The DOJ and more than 36 states want to split Ticketmaster up from its parent.
That's good. I don't think I don't think people who smoke marijuana shouldn't be able to own guns. But anyway, I just think that there's a lot going on. Ugh, okay.
And found a man with a knife and shot him in self-defense. But they say the man had already stabbed 4 people and a dog. Now officials say one of those victims, the dog, and the suspect are dead. Several agencies are investigating, but so far officials say it does not seem terrorism related.
My goodness.
And now to the urgent rescue of a hot air balloon got caught on a communications tower more than 900 feet in the air. Texas firefighters rescued 2 people who were left dangling in the balloon's basket for nearly 2 hours. Firefighters say they climbed that tower in windy conditions with 45 pounds of gear on their backs.
Have to ban
Thankfully, no one
who
was
drink
injured.
alcohol from being able to own guns.
And thanks to you for watching. I'm Diane Macedo.
Marijuana
The news never
is
stops,
not,
and neither do we. We are waiting to hear from President
not
Trump about those attacks.
The gateway drug that they're saying it is, and it's not toxic as alcohol. Alcohol is toxic. It's poison. And so many people have, myself included, have stopped consuming alcohol because it's just not, it ain't it. Let's see what's going on Threads. Let's see. Happening soon. Everybody's talking about Trump's remarks happening soon. And I'm like, come talk shit with us and my friends. I'm like, come talk shit with me and my friends. That's what we're doing right now. Come talk shit with me and my friends. I think it's so cool. I'm sorry. I got really excited. That was loud. I didn't mean to be that loud. And if that hurt my ears, that hurt y'all's ears. I am just excited that I was able to figure this whole streaming thing out. This is what I really wanted to do for Pam Bondi, and I just didn't know how to do it. So I was just on live, and it was on TV, and y'all could kind of hear what she was saying in the background. but it wasn't like this. So now that I know how to do this, I'm very excited about it, which means I can start doing this for more things. And especially like when the survivors are going live and they're talking, like the Epstein survivors, and they're giving their, you know, their press conferences, and there's other things that are going on that needs to be covered and given the same attention. I think that's something that I really want to do. And I told my husband, I said, right now I have the time to kind of do that. And you know, he's more in supportive of my endeavors right now. So that's why y'all buying me a coffee is it's so vital to what I'm doing right now. It's so important. So thank you to those who have supported me, and those of you that do support me, those of you that subscribe to my Substack, those of you that, you know, follow my content. You guys are making this possible for me to be able to do this right now. So I appreciate you all so very much. This all is muted, and everything that's on the screen right now is just terrifying. Like everything that's on being shown right now is just terrifying. Yo, jump scare. Yikes. Look at that neck ussy. Yikes. BZ, this is my first live I've watched on Substack. Well, welcome. Welcome. It looks like he's going to be coming in any moment now. Looks like he's going to be coming in any moment now. So we should be able to start soon. But of course, we're never going to start on time. He isn't saying anything. I don't know what he was saying. It was muted. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's nothing on right now. Yeah, I'm going to unmute it once he comes on. But just everything that we're seeing, all of these videos that are playing right now, it's just scary. My goodness. But it looks like he's going to be coming in any moment, but let's see what
Israel, that happened, Israel already responding. The other is that inside Iran, it's now run by this interim council made up of 3 key figures. Despite the disruption and the attacks, the key pillars of power appear to be still intact, even though there is some disruption there. And as for the president saying that the Iranians want to talk, well, Ali Larijani, the head of the Supreme National Security Council, saying Trump dragged the region into chaos with false hopes. He's now worried about further losses amongst his forces. Writing on X, we will not negotiate with the United States. Diane?
Ian, panel, thank you. Let's bring in senior political correspondent Rachel Scott for more on the reaction to President Trump's decision to strike Iran now. Hi, Rachel. What are you hearing from the White House and Capitol Hill on this?
Well, the president had been insisting for months that Iran's nuclear program was completely obliterated last June, and so it does raise the question of why now. I spoke with the president Saturday as he was meeting with his military leaders, and he told me he believes that Iran was a threat because they were rebuilding their nuclear program. Sources tell me that the president's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner had informed him last Thursday that the talks with Iran had taken a turn for the worse and that they weren't serious about the negotiations. The president soon after making the decision to move forward with the operation. We were told the CIA had been tracking the Supreme Leader
and why
for months
does Jared
his
Kushner have
so
much power?
When they learned there would be a top meeting of military leaders with the Ayatollah on Saturday. I'm told the timing of the attack was
Jared
then moved
Kushner
up. But
is
there are some big questions about what exactly comes next. The president said the conflict with Iran
Why do you guys
will
think
last 4
he's
to
so
5
included
weeks.
in everything
He told me
that's
that he has
going
a
on in the
beautiful plan,
government?
but he has not laid out to the American people what exactly that plan is. Diane?
Rachel Scott, thank you. Let's bring in ABC News contributor, former UK national security official Steve Hill for more. Hi, Steve. So Secretary Hegseth says that this won't be a forever war, but he does say the timeline of the operation could move up or back at any time. So what does that tell you?
Or at least his cabinet members?
Good morning, Diane. I think the president can and the Secretary of State can finish this war when they want. They can declare victory almost at any point because the objectives that they laid out in terms of the nuclear program, the ballistic program, they can say that they've achieved those almost immediately, and they have ruled out regime change as an objective.
Oh, yeah.
So on the
Jared
American
Kushner is
side,
all
they can
over
call
the
an end
Epstein
to this and
files.
put the ball into the Iranian court,
All
at
over
which
the
point
Epstein
the Iranians
files.
can then either decide to go into a war of attrition, escalate, or actually go into negotiations.
Oh, yay.
There are
Thank
just
you,
so
Amanda.
many variables.
I
It's difficult to
appreciate that
predict
so
whether this is
much.
going to last another 4 or
Thank
5
you.
days or stretch into a few weeks.
So what are the paths forward now for the U.S. and Iran? Is de-escalation an option?
I think it is an option. As I said, I think the US can say that it has achieved its limited aims, but at some point it will run out of munitions, as will the Iranians. At some point it may run out of targets. But I think they will be driven more by a degree of domestic politics and the economics. We're already seeing some impact, but limited impact on the world energy market. But if that begins to push through to the domestic markets in the US and elsewhere, there'll be more of a driver for the Americans to call an end to this, or at least a cessation, and then allow the Iranians a way down, which they could decide to take. But much will depend upon the next leadership that emerges. And there are imponderables. If the Iranians were to kill several hundred Americans, for example, you suddenly escalate things. If, for example, Iran goes into chaos and we have a civil war there, then it becomes very unpredictable. So there's not a very obvious way forward or a timeline, but there are definitely de-escalation paths at the moment.
Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia says it's closing its biggest oil refinery after it intercepted 2 drones headed for it. What's the strategy of attacking global energy producers like this?
Well, I think the Iranians understand that part of their leverage by shutting down the shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz, shutting down oil production, whether in Qatar or in Saudi Arabia, will put the pressure from the world onto the American side in particular, because they will assess that their appetite for pain is greater than the Western appetite for pain. They have been attacking civilian targets rather than military ones, which are less well defended, but they haven't yet escalated to desalination plants and really caused huge harm to the energy infrastructure. But that is clearly what a lot of the Gulf allies are worrying about.
Is what we're getting ready to watch.
I think they have been supportive of this
he's 35 minutes
I think
late,
they have looked at their own defences, which certainly I was just talking half an hour ago to somebody in Dubai. I think the defences have held up incredibly well in the UAE, but luck will run out at some point. So they will want to see some kind of end game being entered into.
What do attacks on global energy mean for the rest of the world?
The world is unfortunately not that far away from a global recession.
How long do you guys think we're going to be
There's a lot of talk about an AI bubble. There's been talk about the percentages of GDP to sovereign debt, and energy is so critical to so much of our economy that it does represent a vulnerability. And if we all start suffering, then the price, the affordability crisis throughout all of our countries does quickly translate to political pressure, which our governments, whether in Europe or in the US, will be very, very sensitive to. I think the other thing which is also worth kind of at least touching upon is, for a lot of the rest of the world, this is yet another signifier of this new world order where might is right, and the combination of this economic vulnerability and a sense that for many middle kind of powers, they're slightly sitting on the sidelines here, waiting to see what happens, but with very little influence.
All right, Steve Hill, thank you. And questions over the conflict with Iran are trending on search engines. ABC News contributor, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy, is here to help answer some of our top search questions. Hi, Mick. So a lot of these questions are about Iran's capabilities. How many ships, drones, and missiles does Iran have? And how long can Iran keep fighting?
So, Diane, that's a good question. I think there's about 2,000 ballistic missiles left. Of course, we've seen several days of sorties going after not only the nuclear sites and obviously the leadership, but also the production and manufacturing center for these ballistic missiles, the storage sites and the launch sites. So they're very quickly being
I
depleted,
think
and
Trump
that's one
has
of, I think, the key
extremely
military
underestimated the
objectives in
power
this
of
whole
Iran.
campaign. As far as the drones, they have the capacity to manufacture a lot of these Shahed drones. They're very lethal. That's what we're seeing slam into the buildings in Dubai and Bahrain, for example. We're also, I'm sure, targeting their ability to continue manufacturing those as well. It's unknown how many Shahed drones that they currently have.
Another popular question, Mick, who are Iran's allies? What role are they playing in this conflict?
So traditionally, their allies, of course, include China and Russia, but it's been clear that Russia is not a very good ally. If you look at what happened in Venezuela, you look at what's happening right now in Iran, Russia is really nowhere to be seen other than diplomatic rhetoric. They've done essentially nothing, which is, of course, good for the United States. We don't want to see Russia pulled into this, but I'm sure Iran is asking why they're not doing more. Iran has supplied Russia with a lot of weapon systems like the Shahed drones in their war against Ukraine. Russia is essentially not to be seen now.
And Mick, people also want to know whether oil prices will go up and how the Strait of Hormuz plays into this.
So, Diane, the Straits of Hormuz have about 20% of the U.S. oil and about 20% of the liquefied gas. So a lot of energy flows through the Straits of Hormuz. If it is sea mined, it's not just whether the United States can clear it. We can. We're one of the few navies, if not the only navy that can. It's whether it's cleared enough for commercial vessels to go back through, and that has to do a lot with the insurance. So if they do this, it could disrupt these global markets for an extensive period of time. And even though the United States does not get that much energy from the Middle East, it is globally connected. So if it spikes, it's going to spike for everyone. And that's a big question. We just heard about Iran targeting the facilities in Saudi Arabia to the point where they even shut them down. So that's probably one of the Iranian strategies here. They're trying to cause so much chaos internationally by attacking all these energy producing countries and threatening the Straits of Hormuz, closing the Straits of Hormuz. That's their tactic here. We'll have to see if it works. So far, it's not worked as much as they think they'd hoped.
And finally, Mick, who's going to lead Iran now, and who do Iranians want as a leader?
So, Diane, there is a provision of their constitution. I think it's
I just don't know how long it's going to take for this man to get.
The panel of experts, there's a few that then select the next supreme leader. That's the clerical side of the political structure inside Iran. The other side of that, the military side, the IRGC, there's many, to include Laranjani, who are part of the IRGC, who are now part of the cabal running the actual country. And one of the concerns, of course, is not, that the supreme leader was killed, but that we don't really know what comes after it. Is it going to be the IRGC takes over? Many would think they're going to be more hostile to the United States, or because so many of them were decapitated in that strike, are they basically change their perspective and will eventually want to go back to the negotiation table and be more in line with the U.S. red lines to try to get into a new nuclear agreement? That's unknown now. We'll have to see. But certainly the selection of the next supreme leader is going to give an indicator of just what direction Iran intends to go.
Mick Mulroy, thank you. And we have just learned President Trump will address the attack in Iran at an 11 a.m. event at the White House. We will bring that to you live as soon as it starts.
It's supposed to be a medal ceremony.
Coming up, oil prices are on the rise.
It's supposed to be a medal ceremony, and of course, he's late. I knew that this presidency was going to be exhausting. I didn't know it was going to be this exhausting this fast. Does that make sense? I hope so. That would be amazing, Kristen. I'm not going to lie. That would be amazing. But I don't know. I think we would know. I think we would know. I think I'm waiting. I can't. I'm so anticipatory for that day. I am so anticipatory for that day. But I think we would know. And I just don't think it's yet. Yeah, for real. I knew it was going to be exhausting. I just didn't know it was going to be this exhausting. I didn't know it was going to be this brutal of a experience so early on. I mean, this last year has run ahead full steam so fast. And it doesn't seem to be slowing down. It doesn't appear to be slowing down. It doesn't appear to be like it's going to be ending anytime soon. I'm just watching this service member standing here. Like, when is this lying sack of shit gonna show up so we can just get this done and over with? Just get it out of the way.
Oil prices are rising in early market trading after the attack on Iran.
Oh, there he is.
Prices are up nearly $5 a barrel.
He looks
and
very
stocks
unhappy.
Are reacting on Wall Street right now. You see the Dow down about 300 points. Keep
He's
in mind,
finally
a $1
arrived.
move in oil typically changes gas prices by
Here
about
we go,
2 to 3
folks.
cents.
Here
Rystad
we
Energy
fucking
says
go.
traffic in the Strait of Hormuz is at a virtual standstill. The U.S. Energy Information Administration says about 20.
Here we go.
This is an ABC News special report.
Good morning. I'm Diane Macedo. We are coming on the air because President Trump is expected to make his first comments from the White House about the attack on Iran, the death of the supreme leader, and the loss of 4 American service members. The president's making these comments at a Medal of Honor ceremony, but many are listening to what he will say about this operation in Iran. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz is monitoring that closely, with especially more on the intelligence behind that attack. Martha, what are you learning so far?
Well, we did have Defense Secretary of War Pete Hegseth talk about the operation this morning. He had several strong comments. He said, "We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it." He said Iran's stubborn and self-evident nuclear pursuits and their targeting of global shipping lanes are one of the reasons they wanted to go after Iran. But
I'm sorry.
Really
I don't mean to laugh, but
comments. We haven't really from the president. He's done some individual phone interviews with people, but he has not had a press conference about why he started this, what he is going to do. And the most relevant question, how does this end? What is the goal?
Might be having a lover's quarrel.
We've seen these attacks all
across
the Gulf states to civilian targets, to bases. We have 4 service members who have already been killed and several others already injured. The president did say when this started on a Truth Social post that's what happens in war, Diane.
And the defense secretary confirmed this morning the death of 4 U.S. service members in a retaliatory attack by Iran.
We're up to 4.
I want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, on that because, Mary, the president has received some support from U.S. lawmakers, also some criticism, even from within his own party. Looks like the president's about to speak. Let's listen.
Wonderful job. Appreciate it. And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit. So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this. Let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago,
the names
we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped, but everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently,
put that in his speech.
It was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly,
oh yeah, he dropped the whole name.
But I terminated
that man lives
him
rent-free
my first term.
in Trump's head.
This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this
He looks like
sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear.
He's not
First,
awake
we're
right now.
destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their Navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships.
He sounds absolutely terrible.
They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon. Never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said,
he
you
doesn't
can't deal
care
with these
to
people.
address the nation about this
You got to do it the right way.
He does not care.
Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action.
He has
and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is.
This isn't
we
the
have
Trump
the strongest
we're used to seeing.
and most
Something is
powerful
going on.
by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections.
He's losing
but whatever
steam.
the time
is anybody
is,
else noticing
it's
that?
okay. Whatever it takes, we will always. And we have, right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now, I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there.
When he's talking about murdering.
But please join me in thanking every American service member who bravely is standing in harm's way. They really are incredible, and I just want to thank you. We have a lot of them right here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Of course. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, everybody. We have a lot of great service members here with us, too, in this beautiful building. Isn't it
This
beautiful?
man is a psychopath. He does not care. I don't care what he's saying at the moment.
See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very
beautiful
so
now he's
building.
Talking about his stupid
and there's
ballroom.
Your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors, because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it because I built many a ballroom.
Bro, nobody gives a fuck about a ballroom right now. People are dying,
when you
Kim.
Hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly. She said, will the pile drivers
Gretchen,
ever stop?
He's
you know,
going
they go
on
from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening.
Narcissistic, sociopathic rant.
You know what? To me, that's a beautiful sound. She doesn't like it. I love it. You know what? To me, other than here, because we're donating it, not a penny to the taxpayer. It'll be under budget, ahead of schedule. It'll be
nobody asked for
million
this
or
ballroom.
Less. Most people say
nobody asked for this ballroom.
No,
People are dying.
But,
people are being countries are being bombed in his name.
Me,
and we're talking about this
money,
ballroom.
So I like it. But my wife isn't
You
thrilled.
see how he perks up talking about a ballroom, but he can't perk up to have a little bit of enthusiasm in him to talk about the people that have already died in the sake of this stupid ass war.
Unsurpassed courage of 3 really incredible
he is talking about the ballroom like this is the most amazing part of his day, instead of the deaths of the people that just
about the attack on
died in vain because this war shouldn't even be happening.
I want to bring in ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce for a little more.
What the actual fuck did we just witness? Y'all just witnessed, and I'm going to mute these two lovely ladies right now. What we just witnessed was a narcissistic person being forced to talk about something that he doesn't want to talk about. And then because the attention is off of them and he quickly changed the narrative to something that he was intrigued in and wanted to talk about. And that's what gave him a light behind his eyes. Are we serious right now? We saw that in real time, right? We saw that in real time. He went from, and you know, the war, and is this, and it's that, and the ballroom behind us. Look at the drapes. The drapes. And the ballroom, and it's beautiful. And are you serious? You have a bingo card, Rachel? I'm dead. And then you look, this is happening. This is happening. You see this happening, and he is talking about it as if he doesn't have a care in the world. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be here. That's the thing. He does not care. He will not care. He's never going to start caring. Let me see if I can find his talk on another channel. Let me see if I can see the rest of. Okay, we're gonna switch. Hold on.
I mean, I'm not even sure I can believe this number is 0, but it is given out by Democrats. Democrats from the West.
Democrats.
And they're rated for the last 9 months. We had 0 people come illegally through our border. Right, Tom? So I want to thank you very much. And I also want to salute 6 former Medal of Honor recipients: William Swenson, Jim McLuhan, Walter Marm.
Yeah, I don't know if he's
Thomas
going to say
Paine,
much more about it, but
Sammy Davis. That's an interesting guy.
They're clapping for. Davis. I think we missed.
We have a big story here, Sammy. You've heard that all your life, I'll bet, huh? And Edward Byer, stand up, please.
But those fighter jets that
were. You all look good. We all look good.
So he's
we remember the ceremonies. Oh, great! It's a great honor. There's no greater. I tried for myself. I've tried numerous times to get one by myself. I keep getting shut down. They say you can't do it, sir. Bad protocol. Very bad. I would say the worst. But I'm only kidding. You don't have to say I'm only kidding. Otherwise, the press will come out with it, which they actually did once. Donald Trump wants the Congressional Medal of Honor, but he's been shut down.
That's the thing.
Now you are brave, amazing people, and I want to thank you all. In 1941, Roddy Edmonds of Knoxville, Tennessee, enlisted in the U.S. Army, and soon rose to one of the youngest master sergeants in the military. In 1944, he sailed to Europe to fight in World War II, and he was so enthusiastic and young and full of vim and vigor. Roddy soon found himself on the front lines of the Battle of the Bulge. That was a big one. Massively outnumbered by enemy forces, his 1,200 soldier unit fought valiantly until they were completely overrun. The force was massive on the other side, many times the number. After a 4-day death march, one that was covered very well by the history books, through bitter cold, they were put into a German POW camp. Roddy was the top-ranking infantryman in the camp. He was number 1, meaning he was responsible for the lives of his fellow service members. On July 26, 1945, a Nazi SS officer issued an order over the camp loudspeaker, loud and strong. He said that only American Jews were to show up to roll call following this morning. He added, all who disobey this order will be shot immediately. There were more than 200 Jewish American soldiers in the camp, and Roddy knew their separation from the group would mean certain death. So that night he summoned his team and devised a plan. The next morning, all 1,200 American men fell in line together, shoulder to shoulder. Enraged, the Nazi commandant rushed forward, drew his Luger pistol, and pressed the barrel between Sergeant Edmonds' eyes. He barked at Roddy. They cannot all be Jews, he screamed loud and again, and staring straight back into the raging face of evil.
What are we talking about?
Sergeant Edmonds replied fearlessly, we are all Jews here.
Right now, but what are we talking
the Nazi
about?
officer lowered his weapon and the soldiers erupted in cheers. With total disregard for his own life, Roddy had saved over 200 of his fellow service members. Their camp was liberated 2 months later. We're honored to be joined today by Roddy's son, Chris. Please stand up.
We need the press members there.
Thank you, Chris. Right. Today your father gets the honor he so courageously earned, and really amazing, right? It's an amazing story. Congratulations to the family of
He's
Master
just
Sergeant
so unempathetic,
Roddy
like,
Edmonds.
he does not care.
The next two we recognize today served in the 1st Battalion, 28th Infantry Regiment of the 1st Infantry Division, better known as Big Red
yeah,
1.
He sounds
You know
jealous,
about
but someone
that, Pete, right?
who didn't enlist, someone
Command
who
Sergeant Major Terry Richardson, we are honored to have you with us
is going to be jealous
on
of people who actually
September 12th,
did the work.
1968.
Oh, no.
102 brave men of Terry's Alpha Company were asked with
Could you imagine
securing
he has
Hill
always
222
built
deep
like a
behind
sack
the
of
enemy's
peanuts?
line
has
in
always been
Vietnam.
built
They
like a sack
didn't
of
know it
peanuts.
at the time,
you
had
imagine
no
him being in
idea,
the
but the
military?
area was totally infested with nearly 300 enemy bunkers and many, many enemy soldiers, far outnumbering them by at least 4, 5, even 6 to 1. As Terry led Lima Platoon up Hill 222, the enemy launched an ambitious and violent attack, unleashing a withering fire of machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. Just didn't stop, just kept coming. Pinned down in hell on earth, Terry summoned unimaginable courage. 3 times he exposed himself to enemy fire to rescue severely wounded comrades, and 3 times he dragged them back to the group. Terry soon realized that the 82 remaining men had one chance of survival. That was air support.
Sorry, you guys.
Acting without regard of his own life, he grabbed a radio and charged up Hill 222 alone. He needed to be there. It was the only place you'd get reception. He withstood a storm of enemy bullets, eventually reaching the top, where he spent the next 8 hours calling in tactical strikes, completely exposed. An hour in, an enemy sniper shot rang out and the bullet tore through his right leg violently. He was in bad shape, but Terry disregarded that and pushed through. And after 7 more hours of calling in American fire from above, the enemy retreated. Later that day, his team found him with both eardrums totally ruptured and a mangled right leg and foot, but still barely living, but living nevertheless. Due to Terry's actions above and beyond the call of duty, 82 men, Alpha Company, survived this battle, including 2 in this room, Norm Meyer and Dave Himmer.
Trista, that's what they do.
Where are you? Can you want to stand up, Norm and Dave? Where's Norm and Dave?
I think a lot goes to show that his enthusiasm for other people, he doesn't have that
Pretty good. And that story is 100% correct, isn't it? Huh? See, pretty. It's how much have you paid him over the years? Have you said take everything we have? We wouldn't be here, right? That's great. That's a great story, Terry. Today you enter the ranks of the bravest warriors ever to stride the face of the earth. Please stand up, please. Thank you. That's great, Terry. That's a great, brave man. I met him back there. He said, he's central casting. Look at him. He looks great. He looks great. You feel like fighting? I think we could take him today. What do you think, Pete? We'll make a little
I love
deal
how
with
no
him,
one laughed at
as
that.
you are a brave man. Finally, we honor one more American soldier, fallen warrior of world, of wars, and really a really terror. Staff Sergeant Michael Hollis, born in 1988 on Staten Island. Michael grew up seeing the World Trade Center across the bay. I know Staten Island so well. The people in Staten Island are amazing. After 9/11, Michael enlisted in the Army, and by 24 years old. He was locked in. He loved it. He wanted it so badly. He was a squad leader serving in Afghanistan with the 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry Regiment, 1st Brigade Combat Team of the legendary 10th Mountain Division. On August 28, 2013, terrorists detonated a 400-pound car bomb on the east wall of the forward operating base, Ghazni, ripping open a 60-foot wide breach into a compound that housed NATO coalition forces, a lot of them. 10 Taliban fighters wearing suicide vests swarmed through. From across the compound, Michael saw the pillar of white smoke rising and ran to join the fight, rushing without his gear, wearing almost no gear, no Kevlar helmet, no body armor, just one magazine in his rifle. Along the way, he encountered a Polish soldier, and together they advanced under heavy fire, very, very heavy fire. At one point, shrapnel ripped through the Polish soldier's legs, rendering him unable to walk, very, very severely hurt. In that chaos of gunfire, explosions, and charred human remains, a terrorist insurgent appeared, rounding a corner with his suicide vest, fully armed, and you could see it. It was going to happen. He charged the wounded Polish soldier without hesitation. Michael raised his gun and forced himself between the insurgent and the man he just met, shielding him with his own body. He knew it was going to happen. He shielded him with his own body. You know, bravery's amazing. You never really know who's brave, who's not, until they're really tested. We think some people are brave, Pete, and they're not. We think others aren't, and they are. You never know. But he was tested. That's called the ultimate test, right?
Oh, my Lord.
And at perhaps his final heartbeat, Michael fired his weapon, and the terrorist detonated his vest simultaneously. Staff Sergeant Ollis was killed just weeks before his 25th birthday, and nobody was any more brave than that. In his final act on earth, Michael absorbed the blast, sparing the life of that Polish warrior, who we are grateful to have in the room with us today, Second Lieutenant Carol Sierpika. Carol Sierpika. Where are you, Carol? Hey. Would you like to come up? Please. Please. I'd love to have you come up. Thank you, Carol.
Oh my God, let's see what she looks like. Not see, she, sorry, I meant you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. President, Minister of War, my Minister Polish of National Defense, distinguished guests, everyone gathered here today, dear my Basia, Michael, and Jacob, especially dear Linda and Robert, and the entire Ollis family. What do you have that you did not receive? This is how I would like to begin these few words, to speak to you all here. In this special place and on the occasion of this incredibly important ceremony, one that is significant for many, but truly especially exceptional for me. It's a particular privilege and a great honor. Above all, however, it is my commitment. It is a part of my new mission, which began 13 years ago.
Trump is not listening to a thing that this.
A soldier is not something you are from time to time.
He's just standing there hoping for this to be over
as
fast as possible.
Who you are forever. It is just like you are not a mother, a father, a sister, and brother, or as only for a moment. These are not roles given to us for a while. They are a great gift, but also a great lifelong commitment. Yes, today my commitment and my greatest gift is to cultivate the memory of true, heroic act of courage that I witnessed performed by your beloved son, Michael. Please forgive me if my words have not fully captured what I truly feel today. However, sometimes words are simply not enough. I'm deeply moved, happy, and grateful to God for my service, for my parents, for my family, for my beloved homeland, Poland, for my second family from Staten Island, and for my second homeland, America. God bless you all. Michael, thank you for your service, and I will see you in our heavenly homeland. Thank you for your service. Thank you so much.
And Carol is joined by his wife and their two wonderful sons, Jacob and Michael. Michael is named after the American hero who saved his father's life. So stand up, Michael. Let me see. Wow. That's great. We're also pleased to be joined by several members of the Polish government, including representatives of the president, who I think is a fantastic man, by the way. I must be honest with you. I endorsed him and he won, and he came from behind. He won, and he was the biggest story in Europe, and he's going to be a great president. He already is. But as well as Poland's Minister of Defense, to honor the blood and sacrifice that has helped seal the Polish-American bond. We have a great bond. We have a great relationship with your country. And I just want to thank you to Michael's parents, Bob and Linda. Your son's selflessness in the face of real evil reminds us of the courage that keeps our country free. And I just said the genetics in that family are very strong, right? I said that before. All three families, I said, good. I see some of the young ones today. And I said, you have good genes. They were asking me, what does that mean? I said, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. But you have the best genes you can have, actually.
Oh, my God.
So thank you for giving America your beloved son. And now I would like to ask the military aide to come forward and read the citations, and then we will do the honors. Thank you all very much. This is a tremendous honor for me to be here. Thank you. Please, military aide.
Chris Edmonds, accepting on behalf of his father, Master Sergeant Roderick W. Edmonds. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, March 3rd.
Okay, we don't have to continue. I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that he said what he just said about the children having good genes and having the best genes that you can have. What does he mean by that? Does someone want to elaborate on what he means by that? Having good genes, those are having the best genes you can have. But like, also, why do you need to say that to a child? The thing that gets me is that he doesn't ever stop implicating himself. Let me see if anybody clocked that on Threads. He never stops implicating himself. Ew. He just never fails to implicate himself. That is like not a normal human being would never say something like that. Would never say something like that. Would I'm still stuck on it. I I'm stuck on that. I can't let that line go. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable. I can't let that go. We literally just witnessed this live on television. He doesn't hide his It looks like, here, let me minimize this so you guys can see, because it looks like he's falling asleep right now while he's waiting for these honors. He looks like he's literally falling asleep. He doesn't want to be here. Just look at his face. He doesn't want to be here. That deep sigh, he looks like he just wants to be anywhere else. Like he's not happy. Something is going on, and I think maybe he thought he was going to get a different type of reaction to this war in Iran, but I don't think I mean, obviously I know it's not being received well, but I don't know. There's something going on, and it's weighing heavily on him, and you can see it. You can see that it's affecting him. And I don't mean that in a way to like victimize him or have sympathy for him or empathy for him, because I don't have either of those things. I'm just noticing that something is going on with his behavior, and it's very obvious that he doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to talk about Iran. He doesn't want to talk about he only wants to talk about the glamorized things. He only wants to talk about the materialistic things. He only wants to talk about money. But the way that he was talking about the loss of the 4 US soldiers, the way he was so disinterested, the way that he was so what a gross human being. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't handle him. I just can't handle him. It's just he I I really am just but even talking about what's going on in Iran, he just seems so disinterested. He didn't seem like he cared to be discussing it at all. He doesn't have a care in the world for the lives that are lost. He doesn't have a care in the world for the more lives that are going to be lost. All he cares about is his stupid ballroom and inappropriate comments to little children. He has no ability to control himself when he talks about the way that he talks about children. And the way he's just standing here I think there's something going on with him and Pete Hegseth. There's some underlining tension that's going on between him and Pete Hegseth, and Trump is pissed off about it. And then he's literally trying so hard not to fall asleep right now. He's literally trying so hard not to fall asleep right now. Like yeah, there is that photo. I don't know how real that photo is. That's why I haven't shared it, but I have seen the photo going around of Pete Hegseth getting screamed at by Trump, and I'm not surprised that that's happening right now. But I also think those things are a bit staged to try and force his hand to make people believe that he is some dictator. I don't really think that I think those photos are staged. I don't really think that he's really in there screaming at people like that. But there is something going on. There is something bigger going on here, whether it's his health, whether it's tension in his own cabinet, whether he's just genuinely in a true narcissistic decline right now. He has no ability to care for other people. He has no ability to have empathy for other people, and he only wants things to be about him, which is why he constantly makes every single thing about himself. Every single thing that happens, he makes it about himself. Saying that he can't give himself an award. Oh, well, I'm just kidding because the news is going to run off about it. But if you didn't care, you wouldn't have said it. If you truly didn't care that you weren't being awarded things that you shouldn't have been awarded you would never be getting awarded for. You dodged the draft multiple times, allegedly. I want to see what
over our military service members who are protecting the interests of our nation at this very moment. And Heavenly Father, grant us the will to do justly,
so hard that he's a Christian,
and to walk humbly before you. In your holy name we pray. This we'll defend. Amen.
Watch him walk off. Watch him walk off. Look at him. He's using such a defeatist attitude. He's such a victor attitude. Any questions as he walks by, he's over it. He's done what he sought out to do. He's done what he sought out to do. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care. So how was that for you guys? How are we feeling after watching someone show up incredibly late, be very disinterested, have zero shit to say about the lives that have already been lost, having 0 ounce of empathy, talking very inappropriately about children, talking about his obsession with eugenics? All of this is very disturbing, but you can tell that there's something much deeper, much more going on, and I think we're going to find out about it in the next couple of days. But you saw how he said, we're not bored. This isn't boring for us. This isn't boring for us. Talking about killing people. About people dying. is not boring to them. But it's true, because they've been bombing the Caribbean for the last year and have been getting away with it. And then they keep posting images, videos about it on YouTube like it's some normal clip for people to see people being blown up. It's absolutely insanity at this point. And then it's like, how do we expect people to function in this society where I don't know about y'all, but I can't stop waking up in the middle of the night, frantically checking my phone to see what else is happening next. I've slept like trash the last 6 nights in a row because I have been anxious and stressed out about what is going to happen next in this country. What is going to happen next? Because it's starting to feel a lot like, what's that movie with Will Smith and he was the last man on earth? Starting to feel a lot like that. It's starting to be really exhausting to have rational thoughts and to be a rational human being. It's exhausting. So with that, I think I'm going to hop off. I appreciate you guys so much for sitting with me through that, witnessing that. But there are some things that I just feel like I really need to witness for myself, and seeing his unenthusiasm. I'm not saying that he needed to be enthusiastic completely, but I'm saying have a little bit more empathy in your voice when you're talking about the deaths of American soldiers, of a war that you just started. But you can never get that from a narcissist. You'll never get that from a narcissist. So for now, we just have to take care of ourselves. We have to stay grounded in the truth. We have to stay deep-rooted in what we know is happening, what we know is wrong, what we know is going on. We have to stay loud. We have to stay a group. We have to stay vocal. We have to stay mobilizing. We have to continue this fight, because though this fight is exhausting, it's not going to end until we put an end to it, and we're going to have to figure that out. So I want you guys to do 3 things. I want you to drink some water. I want you to get some rest. And I don't want you to let nobody's dusty ass child treat you any kind of way. I love you, battered hearts. Thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. Thanks for watching with me. Thanks for being here. And I will see you guys on the next one. Keep following me on social media. I appreciate your support. Subscribe to my Substack. I have a few write-ups coming out this week. I have a few more things coming up. So please just keep an eye out for all the content that I've been doing. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much. See you on the next one.